Okay, we'll go ahead and get started for today. Thank you all for being here. I think there'll be some more people joining us, but I appreciate you taking the time. I know this is a busy time of the semester. Everything's getting going, so I know people are feeling a little overwhelmed. So I like to keep things pretty casually, and so feel free to interrupt me, jump in whenever. Was everybody able to access that handout for today? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. In case you didn't know, today's we're talking about strategies to increase engagement in the online classroom. And my name is Erica Brooks Hurst. I work here at the TLPDC, the Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development Center, and I'm the director of the Institute for Inclusive Excellence. That's a program we run here at I sometimes call it IIE. So I know most people in the room today, but just wanted to share that. I want to just set up some expectations for today. That handout, some things I'm not going to be able to go into as great of detail on as I would like, but I tried to provide you with resources throughout, some clickable links. Like, for instance, we're going to talk about breakout rooms. I've given a whole workshop on breakout rooms, and I've linked a recording to that. Also, please know that if you're trying to do any of these resources and having trouble, shoot me an email and we can sit down and talk about these things further. That's my job, is to try and help people teach well. And so if you're trying to do it and you want some guidance and help, I'm happy to talk to you about that. Some of these strategies may not be new to everyone, but I'm hoping maybe you can at least come up with some new ways to do it. And I just want to put this out there. I have given this workshop a few times, so I may be a little quick or fast. And so please jump in, ask questions, have me stop and explain it. If I'm teaching you how to use a technology that's new to you and you don't leave knowing how to do it, I haven't really done my job. And if we do have to move on and you're still not able to get it, let me know. We are recording this today, and so that will go up, and so I can share that with you if you want me to afterwards, so you can hear it again. And then just my expectations for an online environment. If you've been in a workshop with me before, I'm sorry this is repetitive, but if you're able to, you don't have to, but if you're able to and you can have your video on, that helps me. As some of you know from teaching online, if I can see your face and I can see those visual cues, that really helps. And remain muted, but please unmute yourself at any point in time and jump in and ask questions. With that being said, I don't do a good job of keeping an eye on the chat. So my colleague Viet Nguyen is here today. Viet, can you say hello to everybody and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Viet. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a graduate intern at the TLPDC, and I'm just here to help Erica out.
Great. Thanks for being here, Viet. So Viet works with me a lot. She gets my attention. I don't know if y'all have this problem too, but I'm not really good at talking and keeping an eye on the chat. And so she's going to get my attention if somebody puts something there. So she knows how to interrupt me. She knows that it doesn't bother me. So just do that. I also want people to know that they can use the emojis. And I've shown you down here on your, if you've never used them before, on your menu bar down here, you'll see reactions, and you can do a variety of reactions. If everybody can try and do a reaction so I know that you know how to use them. Okay, Britain with the win there. Okay, I'm seeing most people got it. Mark, are you able to find them? Do you need any help? Or Mary? Mary, maybe you already did yours. Awesome, thank you, Mark. Thanks, Mary. I also wanted to let everybody know, if you don't know about this, talking about going too fast earlier, if you open your participation panel, so sometimes on Zoom, my participation panel's up at the top, and then I can open my chat and it opens down here. If on the participation panel, you have these yes, no, go slow, go faster, and I do see those pop up next to your name. So if at any point in time I'm going too fast, feel free to use those. And I usually will say, okay, I'm slowing down if I saw it. So if I haven't seen it, let me know if you see it and I will slow down. So I haven't tried to use those before in a workshop, but I think those are helpful and an easy way to poll people. So we're going to jump right in and try one of these strategies, the annotating. So if you will go up to the top where it says, you'll have a menu that says Erica Brooks is sharing her thing, and go over and see if you have a view more options up there and go to annotate. And then you should get a menu of annotations, and you'll see a mouse, a select, a text, a draw, a stamp. If you'll grab a stamp and let me know how you're feeling today. Maybe you're feeling happy or sad or like a superhero, or you're hungry. If you will just click those, and we'll take a minute here to allow people a chance to try that out. Oh. Anybody having trouble finding that?
Hey, Erica, I'm having problems with it because I have your handout that I opened up on through the email, and that really doesn't have this stuff right here.
No,
So-
this is just kind of a warm up. So this is going to be within Zoom. It's up at the top of your screen, and somebody who was able to be successful, remind me what it says. So mine says stop sharing, but I think next to Erica Brooks is sharing, it has view more. Can somebody help me with what yours says?
It says view options.
Okay, view options. So do you see view options up where it's saying that I'm sharing my PowerPoint with you right now?
I see view, and it says standard side-by-side speaker.
Okay, this is going to be within the, no, you're fine. This is going to be within the Zoom by where it says that Erica is sharing her screen.
Go left across the top of the screen to the center of your
Okay.
window.
Wow.
Britton, since you had a little trouble finding it, can you jump in and help tell Mark how you found it?
Yes, so at the top, it'll say view options. And
Oh, I
then
see it.
once you click on view options, it'll be annotate and then the stamp like option.
Yeah, and you can do any of them. You can see people have written in things. This is within Zoom. It's just an annotate feature. And so I like to show people this example as a way to show a quick way you could check in with your students and get them clicking right off the bat. So I try and always start with a warm up in that way. Mark, were you able to find it?
I just wrote down the bottom left-hand corner. Cool.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but on my end, I can see who's annotating when. I wasn't looking at my screen then. So you can make it anonymous, or you can do that. And that will be under kind of your settings within Zoom. And then also know some of the things I'm talking about today will require you to have a Zoom license. So if you don't have a Zoom license account, once this email's over, once this session is over, if you will email me, I can help you get connected on getting that. So, and just so you know, on my end, if I don't hit clear on my PowerPoint, it will continue here. So you do have to clear that. It does allow me to save that. So if I want to do that, it of course it doesn't keep everybody's name there, but if I want to take a screenshot of something and then share that with the class afterwards, it allows me to do that as well. So it's under on that annotate menu bar for me, it says save. I don't know if y'all have a save as well, but you can save that then. So there's just one tool there. Oh, somebody was slow to, or got a heart on me there. And that is the thing you may with students, if you don't want them to continue to do this throughout your presentation, you want to set some standards and say, okay, we're done annotating for right now. Nobody can do that, because it could be a thing. And you can turn it, I believe there's a setting where you can turn it off as well. But just so everybody knows, that's an easy way to have more of an interactive, there's whiteboard features and things like that, but a lot of people don't know about the annotating of the slide. I just wanted to briefly touch on what is online learning, active learning, collaborative learning. We hear all of these things sometimes used interchangeable. I think many of you kind of have an idea of what those are, but I just want to let you know how those are different for me in the online classroom, and maybe you feel this way as well, and you may have heard me say this before. I feel like in the online classroom, if I'm not having you click on something pertaining to class, then you're going to be clicking on other things. So I kind of equate active learning with clicking. As bad as I feel about that, and I don't like that just as a general thing in the world that like clicks and, you know, people are always trying. I think that in a 15-minute class, if you could incorporate one or two of these things, just so your students have this expectation that they're going to have to stop and do something else. It's not passive. They're not going to be able to sit back and just receive information, but they're going to have to do something interactive. So that's kind of how I see it differently for the online classroom. So we're going to start right out by doing one of these things. We're going to do breakout rooms. And I'm going to actually do a poll right now. So I am going to launch this poll. You should see it come up on your screen. And if you'll just answer. So have you ever been in a breakout room before? Or do you use them already in your class? Yes, I use them in class. I have used them in different meetings, but not yet. I am not sure if I've been in a breakout room before, or no, I'm not familiar with breakout rooms. So if people can indicate that. And just so you know, right now I'm getting percentages, and I'm going to share this with you and you'll be able to see it here in just a second. And I've got that 10 out of 11 people have voted. So that's really good. Oh, now we've got 11 out of 11. And so I'm going to end this poll and I'm going to share the results. So you can see most people have used them in meetings, 45% of the majority, so the majority of us have. Three people have used them in their class, and then some people are not familiar with them. So just so people know, I've given longer information about breakout rooms and linked to a workshop I give about those. So I'm just going to give you a few brief things right now before you go into a breakout room. So in breakout rooms, you cannot use the chat. So if you try to chat to me once you're in your room, I'm not going to get that. Okay. And I can't chat to you. There's a broadcast feature, and that's how I can send you messages when you're in the rooms. And then that's the only way I can communicate with everyone. So if you're going to do this a lot, you may set up a back channel with your students. So you should probably already have one of these. If you're hosting things in Zoom, you may want to say, if you ever get kicked out of Zoom, please email me. Or if you get kicked out of Zoom, please get on Skype for Business and let me know you're having issues. However you choose to have a back channel or some other way outside of Zoom for them to communicate with you would be a good practice. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to put you in a breakout room. And while you're in the breakout room, I'm going to have you open a PowerPoint. And we're going to call this a collaborative PowerPoint. And it's in the handout, but I'm also going to put it here in the chat. And you're going to have 5 minutes once you're in the room to open up that PowerPoint that I've put in the chat and to create a slide with your group. Okay, so each group's going to make one slide. And you're going to answer the question, how do you know when students are engaged? So if you want to do an image, if you want to do a text, if you want to do icon, whatever you want to do, only probably one of your teammates is going to probably need to do that, but you should all be participating and talking about how you know when students are engaged. You're only going to be in there for about 5 minutes. If while you're in the room, you're having any trouble, there is a thing that says, ask for help. You can push that. And just so everybody knows how that works, that tells me you need help and I can come into that room and help you. But you're not going to be in there alone. You're going to be in there with other people. And if you get a message back from me and it says, the host is busy helping someone else right now, she'll be with you in a moment or something like that. That's what happens for your students. So if you want to practice hitting that button just to see what it feels like, feel free to do that. So while I'm getting the breakout room set up, has everybody been able to open that PowerPoint? Are there any questions about moving into a breakout room?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Okay, that's okay. Have you not been able to open the PowerPoint yet?
Yeah, I didn't even see where to open it.
Okay, it's in the chat. I had shared a link there.
Oh, okay. So it's to share this handout with others copy. Is that the one, or?
Link to
at the bottom, I
collaborative
see.
PowerPoint. Viet, can you put that back in the chat? The link to the collaborative PowerPoint, or maybe.
I got
Okay.
the link's there. I got it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so that is, you're gonna work on that, Mark, when you're in a room with your participants. And so, and I'm going to send you all there now. It's automatically gonna pull you into that room. Let me make that true. Automatically move all participants to breakout rooms. And you can always come back to this room at any time. So I will give you, once you see the 1 minute counting down, be sure you finished with what you were doing last on the slide and return back to this main room. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna open those rooms now. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining back. Did two people want to share how that went in their groups? Mainly about how it was working on a collaborative document of some sort, PowerPoint in this case. Was it clunky? Did it work well? Mary?
Yeah, I thought it worked really well for our group. Megan was actually typing for us, but the thing I liked about it from an instructor standpoint was that I could see that work was happening on multiple slides. So I think from a student perspective of that moment where you're tasked with something, there's always that moment where they hesitate and think like, wait, so is Erica really doing something right now? Oh, wait, I can see everybody is doing something.
Right. Well, and I've done it before at the end of a workshop where I make everybody write a question down and I make everybody make an individual one. And what I like about this, opposed to a document, sometimes when I've done it on a document too, people get thrown off by the spacing and where they're entering things. But on this, they have kind of their own and sort of anonymous in a way, like they're not, you necessarily can't see exactly what the other person's writing right then. The other thing I've done before too and tried with a group is an Excel. So if you had multiple questions and you put everybody in a group and everybody had to answer one question and then they trade and edit those questions or those responses. And so let's just take a moment and kind of look at what I see on my end. So this is what I saw, and then I could click between groups here to see what people said. So collaborating, chat feature, eye contact, nonverbal. So I can see if people are responding, and then I can see too, if I want to, I can see who wrote this here. So I can see Alan did that. And then I see initials kind of popping up here. So you could, oh, I can even see here. I don't know. Are y'all able to see that I can see the 3 people? So that's kind of nice too. So if somebody is maybe lost, you would know, and you could go and say, you know, I haven't seen so-and-so show up, or, and I'm not picking on this group. I feel like I know everybody in that group well. And but Iwana's group, I was like, y'all didn't type anything for a while, or sometimes it's a syncing thing. Sometimes it's a syncing thing. And so it like, I couldn't, and then I was like, so I have to know, like, is my internet just not syncing with them yet? Or, and then I thought, you know, if I don't see something in a minute, then I'll go in there. But that's kind of my perspective. So that's just one option. I'm trying to give you several. I tell you about other collaborative programming on the handout that you could use as well. Did anybody else have any thoughts they wanted to share before we moved on?
I have a question.
Sure.
So when you're recording this, obviously, which I think it's awesome, so we can go back to it. But so if you do this in a class and you break them, you do breakouts in the middle of it, are you also recording? Is it still recording all the breakout groups? Or
a breakout room only follow, I believe it only is the main room. And if it did any room, it would only follow me, the person who's doing it. And so no, that is one thing. You can't record all rooms. So you can only.
So maybe I just stop recording so I don't lose the actual lecture.
Well, and that's what we actually do is Britton still in here? We have Britton edit ours. So before I post this, I edit out that blank time. That is important to know. If somebody stays in the main room with you and they share something that's personal with you, you do need to edit that out before you post it. Or like before, I thought I ended a whole meeting for a whole workshop one time, and I may or may not have used language that I wouldn't say like to the whole group. And so I wanted to be sure that I took that out because it was still recording me. And so that's the thing too, is you're still, if your camera's still on, you're still being recorded. So that is something important to note. Especially if you're going to post those things, because if somebody's disclosing something, you know, personal, you definitely want to cut that out.
Erica, real quick, I had a question about that. So would you suggest that when you send students into breakout rooms that you turn your video off and mute yourself just while you're waiting for everybody to come back, or?
Up to you, but that may be a good practice, especially if you don't want them to see you doodling around or whatever, you know, you're doing. That probably would be a good practice.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Oop. Oh, and I forgot to tell you all this. This is how it looks when you're being sent to a room. And I always feel like it feels like you're going to break the internet when you go into a room if you've never been in one before. So you may just want to tell your students. Sometimes it feels like you're being knocked out of the meeting. It feels like you're you've ended something you haven't. That's just moving you into a room and moving you back. Okay, now we're going to try a Jamboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share that link with you. It's on your handout, but I'll also put it in the chat. And this is going to be another kind of collaborative it's a collaborative whiteboard, but it's a little different. So let me open that and I'll share with what you should be pulling up on your end. Let's see here. One second. Did that link work for y'all? Because it's not working for me. Just one second. There we go. So this is what a Jamboard is. The reason you can use this product, I like to tell people, because sometimes they're confused on if they can allow students to go into other kind of programming. Since you don't have to log in or put any kind of login information, this is okay. Not all Google products work that way, but this Google Jamboard does work that way. And on the handout, you'll see there's a tip sheet for using Jamboards. But what I would like you to do, much like the annotate, I have put what is one challenge you face when working to engage with your students online. And then over here, you see these things. If you'll just either play with the tools or answer this question, I'm fine with if you don't answer the question, but if you want to and put some text, that would be helpful. If you want to see what it is to do a sticky note or bring in text or bring in an image, just play with that for a minute and see how that would work for your class. And right now you can see this is anonymous. So I can, this is what happens most times. So again, I've given this workshop a few times and people put up a lot of funny images. So you will want to be sure you specify to your students, like, the first few times we're doing it to play around, but now we're really going to work on something and do something. So I'm fine with, I work in Old Null, that's pretty funny. But you do want to, with any of these technologies, be sure you've set up the expectations for how to use them. But I do think it could be a good break too, and just say, everybody find their favorite cat photo right now, you know, and just let them connect in a different way. Has everybody been able to try something on the Jamboard or having trouble or have a question? People get so creative with their images. And I do believe, I do believe that these can be, so I can clear it. There's different backgrounds. I can zoom it in, it looks like. Let's see. Yep. So if you wanted to give people, you know, a smaller space, ooh, that's too far out. Any questions about this technology? Any ideas on how you could use it in your own classroom?
Well, I'm teaching a class on reality. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm teaching an undergrad course on reality TV this semester, and seeing people throw up like memes or screenshots could be really interesting. Like, you know, if we wanted to say at the beginning of the class, take a poll of what are some of your favorite shows, or just to make sure that they watched it, take a screenshot from the episode that from a scene that you thought was really interesting and have them post that. Like, so. Post memes that you found about it. I liked the Bernie meme that someone posted. That
yeah. So that, I mean, that would have been a great attention or a starter today of everybody find something from the inauguration that, you know, that caught their eye or something like that. Depending on your topic, depending on your content, especially if it fit with what you were doing. I taught a class about gender a lot. So I would say, show me a picture of gender from the inauguration, somebody performing gender. And, so I try to pull in more current events, with what we're doing and do quick things like that, where they can, they have to search for something, they have to do something. It takes some time, but I think it could be helpful. Okay, let's go back to
Sandra,
this.
I have a quick question. Sorry,
Sure.
sorry if you said that and I missed it, but how, could we ask students to identify themselves with those like symbols and so that they're not anonymous anymore? And we can
Sure. You can have them sign it, right? You could say, do this and put your name on it. So I need your name on it too. So import a picture, but then import that text of who's doing it. And that's how you're getting points today. And you could go back through and look at that. I think that's fine to ask them to do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. I need to figure out how to do that myself, but.
Yeah. And so within the handout for today, and let me just go ahead and show people that. What I tried to do was provide, oh, that's not it. Those are the links I'm giving you today. I tried to give you some other ideas, like if you're still having trouble seeing how it would work in your class. So you could do this, but then like with this Google collaborative program, like here's some other ideas. And then just so everybody knows, there's some really great ideas within some of these resources up here. We just didn't have time to go into all of them, but I liked a lot of these for active learning and different engagements. Some of them just took too long to explain. I would spend the whole workshop trying to explain to you how to do them. And I wanted to give people a variety of tools at variety of levels. So polling, let me go ahead and do a poll for polling. 1 second. And this is just a quick one. Have you used Zoom polling before, either in your class or not the one we did today, but have you built a question before? Okay. Give people time to respond to that. And I'm going to walk you through here in just a second how to set those up within Zoom. Okay, and it looks like the majority of people haven't. And I do think that it can be kind of tricky sometimes to know where this is. So within Zoom, you have the app that lives on your computer. And then you have the web. And so sometimes people join always from the web. They just click a link and it takes them through the web. And then sometimes they set up all their meetings and everything from the app. Most of the things I talk about today, you're going to have to go into the web to make sure. So if you're not seeing something or it's not there, you're going to need to go and log in on the web to Zoom. And usually, let me do this here. You'll see like your picture, like I have my picture here, or you'll log in here. And then you'll see all of these different things here. And here you can see my meeting. So this meeting for today, you'll see if I click on the meeting itself, not edit or anything like that, and I go to the bottom, you see I have all of these poll questions built already. And then when I'm in the meeting, well, I didn't know I did this, but poll is ended. You can see, and I don't have them on as anonymous. That means that I may, within a report, be able to see who answered what. That report's always iffy to me. So I wouldn't depend on that the first few times you use it, but it is a good way to just do a quick assessment. If you're looking for reports and different things like that, I'll actually show you. So if you go all the way down to reports, this is how you take attendance if you don't know as well. And you go to this one here, this will show you who was at what meeting. And then if you go back to this one up here, I'm going to see if those poll questions come in. If you're ever not seeing one of your meetings, know that these appear. So if I go to, I gave a session where they did polls earlier in the week. Let's see. I'm not going to spend our time right now looking for that, but I could go and look there and see and download it and see if those poll questions were there. Sometimes they have been, sometimes they haven't been. So you'll have to check that on your own. I was going to take our time to do that, but then I thought that's a lot of me clicking around time. And we can investigate that further if you're interested in that. And so I think polling is a fast, easy, quick way. You can make them on like right now, but I like to make them beforehand, even if they're just quick, like, is everybody still with me? Yes or no? Or are there any questions? Yes or no? Just to break up and have them click and to do something or to introduce a topic. Annotating slides, I showed you how to do that. And I was going to tell you too, within, again, you'll want to go to the Zoom. You'll want to go to the Zoom and go to meetings, or I mean, go to settings, and you're going to want to look down and see if some of these things are toggled on. So for this, I think it's under in meeting basics. So let's see here. Meeting polls, mine's toggled on, so you need to have that on. And then screen sharing, let's see if annotation, and then allow save of share screen with annotation. So I have that on, you could take that off. So there are a ton of settings within Zoom that if you read through your settings, you'll see sometimes, and that's how I've kind of learned a lot of this, is by playing around with it. And again, most of the things I'm talking about today, you do have to have a licensed account to do. So we're going to do annotating one more time now that everybody knows how to do it. And so if you'll take a second and think about how you could use annotation tool in your classroom. And so you can do a stamp, you can do a check, you can, if you do other, you could write out. So again, if you'll go up to the top where it says sharing screen, view options, and then go ahead and annotate this slide. Check-ins. Questions, polling. This is another way you could poll. And I just made a table here in PowerPoint and just put some different options up at the top. So even if you incorporated 2 or 3 of these up in, within your PowerPoint when you're doing this, this just would allow people to have a second to have to think through this. Any questions about this annotation? Ooh, a quiz. Yeah. But I would say for a quiz, you would want to like make sure because those go up and then they go away. I don't think once I hover over them, I can tell who's there. Oh, sorry. No, I clicked. And then one thing I will say that I've done a few times. So if I have my annotate open and I'm doing stamp. So if I select stamp and I do this, and then I forget, I have to go back up and do mouse. So I'm like, why is my slide not clicking? It's because I'm still on stamp and I need to go and do my mouse selection. So a couple of times I've caught myself up doing that. Okay, great. And everybody was able to do that and figure that out this time? Awesome. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about a strategy of using the chat purposely. I told you on the beginning, I'm not great at going back and forth from the chat into and lecturing. So this is a way to purposely focus on the chat and like utilize it for your class. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the chat and I am going to put a line on it because I have found doing this thing I'm about to tell you how to do, if you don't have like some indicator, oh, sorry, like this to say where this activity starts, sometimes people kind of get lost in the chat. So doing some kind of either that or some kind of line that tells everybody, okay, this is where we're starting. And so what I'm going to do, this is called a ready, set, go is what I've been referring to it as. So the ready is going to be compose a reply in the chat, but do not hit enter until I say go. So I'm about to give you a question. You're going to go to the chat. You're going to answer the question in the chat, but you're going to wait. We're going to let everybody compose their answer, think it through, do those things. So the set will be getting ready. In one sentence or phrase, share one tool that you have used in your online class that helps with student engagement. Or if you learned one today, you can say, oh, I'll try that, but just write a sentence, just one thing you've either used that we haven't talked about or used that we have talked about today. Now don't hit enter. Sometimes people do it just as a habit. And I just like to be like, oh, you hit enter, you know, the first few times. If you do this a few times, your students will get used to it. So don't hit enter until I say go. So type your response in the chat box, and one sentence or phrase, share one tool that you have used in your online class that helps with student engagement. I'm gonna be quiet while people do that. And once you've got your response, if you'll give me a thumbs up, you can either give me a manual thumbs up or give me a virtual thumbs up once you've gotten your. Okay, now go. So everybody hit enter. And now I'm going to take a minute to review this. So everybody else takes a minute to review it. Flipgrid, yeah, I've heard great things about Flipgrid, and we do have a few resources up on our website about them. Great, awesome. So I like this for a couple of reasons. One, I think we all know that some students are better at composing an answer than just jumping in and saying something. So again, purposely building that into your class that you're going to use the chat in that way and give people the time to think. I also sometimes I have learned online my wait time has to double, and I'm not great at wait time to begin with, meaning when I ask a question, giving people time, because I get really excited, as you can tell. So I'm like, ooh, I want to tell them about this part, or nobody's going to do this. So this allows everybody to have some wait time, and then you can build that in, right? And say like, we're going to take 3 minutes to really think through this and come up with a question we had from today's reading, or this could even be something where let's do a ready, set, go real quick, because everybody's trying to talk at once, and I want to be sure that I can review everybody's what everybody's saying. So let's take a minute. Everybody put, you know, one comment, one question, one something in the chat when I say go. And so you do that, and then you all take the time to do that. Let's see here. So I think there could be some really neat different uses for the Ready, Set, Go. And for this last part here, I would just like to take questions or comments or things that you've been trying or things you want to think through. We've got 15 minutes left. And if you want to just ask questions or troubleshoot issues that have been coming up that are challenging for you in your classroom, we have a wealth of knowledge in this room right now. I know several people in here have taught for a really long time and are great teachers. And so if you have questions, comments, want to know how I did something that I did today, I'm happy to share that with you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you for this. This is very, very helpful. I think one of the best parts of this workshop for me was being able to do it while I'm in the middle of having internet problems.
Oh.
Because I got to experience from like a student like what they go through. So one question I have is, so I had internet problems, so I went to my phone.
Uh-huh.
And when you put me in the, let me see if I can remember, you put me in the breakout rooms, I could see the video of other people, but I could not hear them. And then I be invited to join the audio by like dialing in or whatever. And I did that. And then all of a sudden I was back in the main room.
Oh.
Hearing you and I think Viet talking. And so is it normal that when people are on their phones and they get put into breakout rooms that the audio doesn't transfer over automatically?
I haven't known that to happen. Nobody's told me that before. If it did, it could have very well happened to them. They haven't reported it to me. I do know that what I've noticed from doing a lot of breakout rooms, because I do them in almost every session I do, people that are having internet connections stay in the room and stay frozen with me usually when I open those rooms. And there's quite a big lag because sometimes, so what I do, just so people know, if somebody remains in the room, I'll say like, oh, Mitzi, are you having trouble joining your room? Do you need some help? And sometimes I realize that they're frozen in time and space because they're not answering me. And so they don't say anything. And then I usually ask a few more times. Sometimes people, especially if I'm making them click to go to the room, they're multitasking and they didn't know they were going in a room. And then sometimes I'll say one time in particular, this one person that was pretty high up in the university couldn't make it into a room. And they're like, really knowledgeable in technology, and I kept being like, I'm so sorry this is happening. Then I could not figure out why they didn't get sent to the room. I couldn't switch them into a new room. Finally had to tell them to get out and come back in. And I felt so like annoyed because it had never happened. I didn't know how to fix the problem right then. So that's one of my suggestions to people, is if there is a problem, have them get out and come back in. And then I would say, the way I understand it is I always assume people are having technology issues. And with a student, if it continued to happen, I would reach out to them and say, hey, I feel like you continue to like either leave or get knocked out. Are you having some connectivity issues, or are you checking out? Like, help me understand that. So I don't know if that was a really long answer, Grant, to your statement. So I don't know is the answer.
Yeah, so it seems like we can safely assume that if you're on a laptop or a desktop or a phone or whatever, that it's not like breakout rooms work well for a computer, but not well for a phone, and you got to reconnect. It sounds like I can assume that the carryover is nice, and this was just a weird glitch this time.
I have done it several times. So when I started to write about breakout rooms, and I actually met with you, Grant gave me, if you go to our website about breakout rooms, I got a lot of that information from Grant on him having done it in his class, some different tips and tricks people should consider. And I would sign myself in to multiple devices. So my phone and my laptop and my husband's iPad and all of these different things, because I wanted to see how those different things interacted and how telling people to do that and telling students to do that looked different for them. And I didn't ever have a trouble joining a room on a cell phone or a tablet. The only thing that I do know is it's hard for people to bring up multiple screens. So if I'm asking you to bring up the collaborative PowerPoint and be in the Zoom breakout room, that's like impossible to do on an iPad. You're only going to be able to see one thing in a phone. So I do always tell people, if they're wanting to do this, to tell students they need to join from a computer if possible. And if not, they'll be limited with how many screens they can have open.
Sounds good, thanks.
I think it's an important consideration to think about, though. So if you see a lot of people are joining from their phone, you do need to make sure you're not asking everybody to join, multiple things and have multiple windows open. Yes, Alan, did you have a question, comment?
I do have a question. Yeah, it's really specific, but hopefully it might be helpful to other people. So one of the things that I really did a lot in my class last semester in a small discussion seminar was I'd give the students, like, if they've read a short story, I would give them a directed writing assignment. I'd say, okay, pick a passage in the story that you thought was particularly important or interesting or whatever. Mm-hmm. Take 5 minutes, describe it, and then interpret it.
Okay.
And like either open up a new Word document and type it out, or take a pen and paper and write it out. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And that worked really well. Because then I'd say, okay, what were your answers, mm-hmm. right? And then so lots of people would volunteer, but then when people stopped volunteering, I could then call on people mm-hmm. Who hadn't talked because presumably they'd done it and had something to say.
Right.
But my question about that is there an easy way to collect those? Because what I had my students do was I'd be like, don't forget to email those to me after class. Like mm-hmm. Snap a picture if you wrote it on a piece of paper, snap a picture on your phone and email it to me, and that worked okay, but that worked okay for a class. Getting a lot of emails. And so I'm wondering is there a web tool where I can say, okay, go here and you can and you can upload something, or
what learning management system do you use? Do you use Blackboard?
Yeah.
So can you open up an I mean, where it's their job to go and upload it as an assignment? Is that too clunky? Is that too many steps?
I just wouldn't want them to have to like open Blackboard and Zoom at
Sure.
the same time. It seemed like too
Yeah.
much.
I'm wondering if they could do it on one of those PowerPoints or Excel, you know what I mean? But if they did handwrite it, the only option I'm seeing is a picture. And I mean, that's again, depends on people's technology. So if I took a picture with my phone right now, because I'm a Mac user and I have my Messenger connected, I could text it to myself and then upload it. I know how to do that, but not everybody may know how to do that, so I think that you're always going to hit a snag. So I think maybe you could say, write it up now, type it up. If you hand wrote it, now type it up and shoot it and get it into the chat. Cause you could save the chat. The chat will save from a meeting with their name. I don't know, maybe other people have, because they could also upload a photo that way into the chat.
That's true.
I will do one right now just so you can see how it comes through. Let me find a photo on my desktop real quick, just so everybody can see.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, one of the reasons I liked this is because it was so low tech. Everyone figured out a way to do it.
Yeah.
But then you end up having to collect them as kind of a chore.
Yeah.
And then some people forget to send them to you, and then you don't end up giving them credit for it. So it's
Sure. I get that, because the only other thing I can say is, okay, if you type that up now, throw it into the chat or in private chat it if they don't want everybody to see it, private chat it to me. And then, because that's a way where they could remain anonymous. I mean, anonymous to their classmates, not to you. Private chat it to me. And then if you took a photo, you're going to have to either get it in the chat right now, or that's on you to get it to me. Do you know what I mean? So you've given them options.
Okay.
And so, and to me, sometimes I just feel like giving them a couple of different options, not too many. I mean, I wouldn't be like, or email it or put it in this Blackboard, or like that could become overwhelming, but you could say, start to figure out a way to get that in the chat in an easy way. And if you can't, just know you're always going to need to be the one who emails me.
okay. Yeah, that's the chat actually is a good solution in general,
Okay.
because the students can compose it there, and that could work really well.
Yeah,
Thanks for the suggestion.
I do like the idea of having them write it out pen and paper though. So I know that wasn't a perfect answer. Other questions, comments, things you want to know how to do or think about?
I have another quick question,
Sure.
hopefully quick. So going back to the annotating of a PowerPoint slide, and maybe this is just my lack of familiarity with SharePoint. You use SharePoint, right?
I use OneDrive, but SharePoint, it's confusing. So SharePoint's kind of the back part of OneDrive. So
Okay.
they're kind
So
of
the
interchangeable.
The general
Types.
approach is like like what you did was create a slide in PowerPoint that they can then annotate. Put that slide in some place that's inherently interactive, OneDrive, SharePoint, whatever.
Right.
And give them a link to that interactive space.
Right.
And make sure that they have like permission to get in there. And then you just watch them.
Yes.
So that was like the Google form wasn't shifting all over the place. So you're trying to create a space that's not like moving as people edit.
Right.
That was the general sort of thing that you did, right?
Well, that's what I was going to show you. So all my workshops, I make this, and I've at times shared the whole folder, like a shareable link for the whole folder in OneDrive. Or like today, I just dumped, so I could have shared this whole folder with y'all and told students to direct them that way, click on this, click on that. Or what you do, and just so everybody knows, because this can be a tricky part of it, is if I want you all to go here, I hit this and then I say share. And then you have to do this step. Are y'all seeing this send link box right now? Okay, then you have to say anyone with link can edit, and you have to have the edit on. This is what I learned the hard way. Copy link, and they're very long links. But that's how I get those shareable links. And even with that, I will say to y'all that every once in a while, I have somebody who, for some reason, even though I say like they have access, it says like access denied, and I get an email and I have to give them access, if that makes sense. And I've been using OneDrive because we get the whole Microsoft package, so people can have the app or they can be on the internet. And I like the internet, being able to do shared documents that way. Did that answer your question?
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And just to add to that, a real quick tip, you can use tinyurl.com to shorten, because those URLs are crazy.
Yes.
They're insane, and actually
Yeah.
that's for security reasons.
Well, that's what I was
it's to-
thinking. It
it's-
says like eBrooks and all, and I'm like, should people be knowing all this stuff about
It's
my
to make it
OneDrive?
harder to guess, but actually that's why they're so long. But you can you can use a URL shortening service. There aren't many left, but tinyurl I think is one that still works. And then you can make like a reasonable length, like notes to.
Sure, that's really helpful.
And like what I started doing last semester in my classes, I had a shared document with notes for every class that I would like work on live while like take notes for the class while they were in the meeting. And then they would have that, they would open it too, and then they'd have that link for after the meeting. So like they can just open up the notes for themselves.
I've heard a lot of people putting their outline for the day on there, or something where people feel like they kind of know what's going on, or they can add to it, or you can make a part of a collaborative, or like that, you're giving them some notes as you go. I think those are all very helpful. And I think too, it allows them to draw their attention back. Like if they want to click and they have then at least, oh, well, I'm going to click to this document and see if he's added any notes, or I'm going to click here. You know, it allows you to go back and forth. You can also make a QR code. That's right. And people don't always know how those work, but they're fairly easy to use. And you just have to open your camera on your phone to access them. A lot of people don't know that. I know we're right at time. And so I know people need to leave. I'll be here for just a little bit longer if you have specific questions, but I don't want anybody to feel like they need to stay on. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So thank you all for being here today. And like I said, if you're trying to do something and you're not quite sure how, I'm here to troubleshoot and think through it with you, because I know some of these issues become really complicated and complex. And so, yeah, I hope you have a great start to the semester.